The billionaire was about to sign his bankruptcy at 4 a.m. until a waitress spotted the mistake at exactly 4:07 in the morning, under flickering fluorescent lights that buzzed like tired insects. A billionaire sat alone in a roadside diner with bankruptcy papers spread across a sticky table, his hand trembling as the pen hovered inches above the final signature, unaware that one small mistake, hidden in the paperwork, was about to change the course of his life forever. His suit was wrinkled, his eyes hollow, and the weight of a collapsed empire pressed down on his chest as heavily as the silence around him. Before the story pulls you deeper, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and the quiet power of ordinary people doing extraordinary things, please take a moment to like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, comment your thoughts, and subscribe to the channel The Thread of Kindness. Your support helps stories like this reach hearts that need them most. He had once been a name that echoed in boardrooms and headlines, a man whose decisions moved markets and whose smile appeared on magazine covers beside words like visionary and unstoppable. And now, in the darkest hour before dawn, he was just another exhausted soul, clinging to a cup of cold coffee, replaying every mistake that had led him here. A failed expansion overseas, a trusted partner who vanished when the numbers stopped adding up, lawyers who spoke in calm voices while dismantling everything he had built over 3 decades. By the time the clock crawled past 4, bankruptcy was no longer a threat. It was a conclusion waiting for ink. The diner was nearly empty, a forgotten island on a sleeping highway. The smell of grease and burnt toast hung in the air, comforting and suffocating at the same time. He had chosen this place because no one here would recognize him, because the anonymity matched how invisible he felt to the world now. The papers on the table were thick, heavy with legal language, clauses, and consequences that would strip him of his companies, his reputation, and the legacy he had dreamed of leaving behind. Signing them felt like erasing his own name. Across the room, a waitress moved slowly between tables, her shoes worn thin, her posture tired but steady. She had been on the night shift for years, long enough to recognize the look of people carrying invisible burdens. She noticed him the moment she refilled his coffee for the 3rd time, noticed the way his hands shook not from caffeine, but from something deeper, something breaking. While he stared at the documents as if they were a verdict, she did what she always did when the diner was quiet. She glanced at whatever lay open on the tables, not out of curiosity but habit, a way to pass the endless hours. Her eyes paused on a page filled with dense numbers and fine print. She did not understand high finance, mergers, or corporate law, but she understood patterns. Years of balancing orders, checking bills, and catching register errors had trained her mind to spot things that did not belong. Something about one column felt wrong. A number repeated where it should not, a decimal slightly misplaced, a figure that did not match the total below. It was small, almost nothing, the kind of mistake people miss when they are tired and defeated. The billionaire exhaled slowly, the sound heavy with resignation, and lowered the pen toward the paper. In his mind, this was the final step, the moment he would stop fighting. He told himself there was dignity in accepting the end, that starting over at his age was a fantasy meant for other people. He did not notice the waitress standing a little closer now, her brow furrowed, her exhaustion momentarily forgotten. She hesitated, knowing her place in the world, knowing men like him rarely welcomed interruption, especially from someone like her. But something stronger than fear pushed her forward. Maybe it was the memory of her father losing his small shop because of one unchecked error. Maybe it was the quiet belief that details mattered, that lives could turn on them. She leaned in slightly and pointed at the page, her finger hovering just above the numbers, indicating the line that did not make sense. Time seemed to stall. He followed the direction of her hand without much interest at first, assuming it was nothing, assuming the outcome was already sealed. Then his eyes narrowed. He straightened in his seat, pulling the papers closer, scanning faster now, the fog in his mind lifting just enough for clarity to slip through. The number was wrong. Not just slightly wrong, but catastrophically wrong. A duplicated liability, counted twice, inflating losses by millions. His heart began to race as he flipped through the pages, checking references, tracing the error back to its source. What he had accepted as failure was suddenly something else entirely. The mistake changed the balance sheet, altered the conclusions, reopened doors that had slammed shut hours earlier. Bankruptcy was no longer inevitable. It was based on a flaw no one had noticed because everyone had assumed the worst. The lawyers had been tired. He had been broken. And because of that, the truth had nearly been buried. The waitress stepped back quietly, unsure of what she had done, already preparing herself to be dismissed or ignored. But the man in front of her looked different now, alive in a way he had not been minutes earlier. His shoulders were no